welcome to the Twitter Voices Africa to the World panel right here in Lagos Restaurant and Lounge in New York City.
I think you've been talking a lot about how this is brought to you by Twitter, and we're talking a lot about Twitter Voices. And that brings me to why we're here today. You know, I think, you're talking about this huge moment for African culture, for Nigerian culture, with Burna Boy coming to Madison Square Garden. We knew that the voices who are on Twitter from this community have constantly been talking about how much it means to achieve these things. And because, again, this is the timeline come to life, y'all.
Yeah,
right now.
that's the fun part about Twitter Voices, and we're so happy that you're here because Burna Boy is the first Nigerian artist to ever headline Madison Square Garden, bringing his One Night in Space tour to the world's most famous arena. So let's talk about the significance of this moment. And Kozza, I want to start with you. Just what do you think the lasting impact this show will have to not just Africans, but we're all New Yorkers as well?
Yeah.
Where do you think that will lead us?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think being in New York, you sometimes forget that how famous a venue MSG is. Like it really is like, it's not a crazy thing. Like it's on the level of like the Coliseum. Like you can't think of places that are more famous than that. So for him to be doing that feels so seismic. I think you're right. I think it reverberates outside of Nigeria and outside the Nigerian diaspora, but also like for Africans in general, and it kind of shows what could happen.
Like Kozza said, it's a seismic thing. This is a big deal. And I think if you've been following it from day one, it hits even harder because Burna Boy's rise has not been meteoric. That's the word that a lot of writers like to use with every single star. Yeah. But his journey was not meteoric. It was not fast. It was not overnight. It was gradual.
So all these things started to happen because, I mean, you have conversation on Twitter. You have people now being able to access these things on DSPs. You have artists themselves branding themselves in a way that makes more sense on other social media platforms. The culture shifted in a way that was more digital savvy, and all it did was help artists and to be able to brand themselves and improve the exposure and the education across the board.
Olive, I got a question for you. You've seen Burna a lot, right? And what do you hope Burna Boy brings to the world's most famous arena on that sort of stage?
I feel like you can't describe it because no Burna performance is the same.
Okay.
But I'm just happy that he's bringing himself. Like, he just has a raw energy that's just like, it's infectious, it's different. You can tell like he eats, he reads, he sleeps, this kind of stuff. And the growth of Burna, to see it, for him to be at MSG is like, it's wild, but
it took a few years.
Oh man, this was an incredible conversation. I want to thank everybody here for joining me today. I want to thank Lagos Restaurant and Lounge for having us here. And come pull up. It's in Times Square. It's right in the middle of the city. You gotta love it. Hashtag Twitter Voices. Hashtag Africa to the World. Burna Boy headline in Madison Square Garden.